Is Sinners the best movie of the last 15 years? No, but it's good, and you should see it. Okay, Sinners. The day after Easter. Isn't that fun? Michael B. Jordan plays two different people. Haley Steinfeld is in this thing. What's that guy's name? Delroy Lindo is in this thing. This is a movie from Ryan Coogler, who's directed nothing but really good to great movies. Not going to count Wakanda Forever, which is a fine movie, but extenuating circumstances, not all his fault. Had to completely rewrite the script that he had because Chadwick Boseman sadly passed away. Never seen Fruitvale Station. That's on my list. Creed is an absolute banger. Still his best movie, by the way, in my opinion. Black Panther's really, really good until the third act kind of teeters off a little. And Sinners, I feel pretty similarly to Black Panther. I do think the reviews of this movie are going to do a disservice to certain people ready to go in seeing the next great masterpiece. There's that word again. Masterpiece, genius. Now, here's what I will say about Ryan Coogler's direction. Masterful. The way that he crafted this film visually, got the performances out of Haley Steinfeld and Michael B. Jordan and everybody else in this movie, who's very good. Jack O'Connell, oh my God, he's good as the villain. Some of the scenes in here are mind-blowing. The problem is the script. Because now, spoilers, if you haven't seen the trailer, I guess. This is a light spoiler if you don't know everything about the movie, but I'm assuming at this point you've seen it. We're going to get into some heavier spoilers later. But the vampires, okay? We know it's about vampires. It kind of lost me when the vampires were introduced. And the reason is it didn't feel natural to the story that was being told. Because you get introduced to Jack O'Connell, who's the head vampire, about halfway through. And I understand that it's like genre flippy and it's like now we're in a vampire movie. And to some people that might work. I myself, maybe I'm just not a vampire guy. Because I'm like, okay, vampires out of nowhere. Like, I know that's what this movie is, and I'm ready for it. But the second vampires were introduced, and we started, like, carving wooden spikes and wearing silver and eating garlic, I was like, man, this movie felt like it was up here, like, at another level. And I was really interested to see how Ryan Coogler was going to take the classic vampire stereotypical lore and weave it into this really intimate story, and he really didn't. He just took the vampire lore and just drug it into this story. And that's kind of where it lost me. Now, everything about the vampires, again, the way it was filmed, the performances, the thrill of watching vampires attack people is fun. It's not bad. It's not even average. It just feels like less than the first hour and 15 minutes of the movie that I saw. And I also think Ryan Coogler wanted to make like 4 different movies here. He wanted to make an interesting movie about these smokestack brothers who are like crime lords in the 1930s opening their own juke joint in Mississippi, which is interesting. He wanted to make a movie about vampires, so he kind of put them together. He wanted to make like a revenge movie about the KKK in a sense, which is in here. And he wanted to make like a pseudo-musical. And he was like, I'll just do it all at once. Musical numbers I loved. And again, we'll get into spoilers, but there is a musical sequence in this movie that took my breath away. Jaw was on the floor, tears were in my eyes. And that's what most people are saying about that scene in particular. However, most people are also saying about the whole movie. And I'm here to tell you, like, I'm just being honest, the movie is not, in my opinion, like a great movie. It's solid, and it's got great elements to it. But again, the vampires, it kind of lost me toward the end. Okay. We're going to get into spoiler territory here because I can't talk about my biggest qualms of the movie without hitting some spoilers, in particular how the vampires were handled. So I'm going to get into spoilers. Here we go. We're into spoilers. First of all, this trailer is terrible. The trailer for this movie is terrible. It spoils Haley Steinfeld getting turned. It spoils one of the Michael Jordans being turned. It shows basically Jack O'Connell dying at the end of it. And it shows the other human version of Michael B. Jordan, Smoke, shooting at the KKK. The whole time I'm waiting for that shot in the movie, and it doesn't happen until the very end. So I'm like, okay, so he survives for the whole thing until the very end. Horrifically bad trailer. Whatever. Doesn't matter. That's not a criticism of the movie. So the vampires in this movie, right? People start biting each other, and they can't enter because they have to be invited in. That's vampire lore. The second that the love interest for the human Michael B. Jordan, Smoke, I forget her name, I apologize, like the witch doctor, we'll call her, starts busting out garlic and silver, that's where I was like, it turned into a Marvel movie, like it did. And I think Ryan Coogler has a third act problem. Same thing happened with Black Panther, and I don't entirely blame him for that. I'm sure there was Marvel getting his hands involved. But the second the battle started for the vampires, I lost that sense of thrill, and I lost that sense of like intimacy I had with the movie. And it felt like all of a sudden it was a movie for just like general audiences, which I get it. You want to have your cake and eat it too, but I think there's a better way to infuse it. And I'm going to pitch it to you here. Not that I'm saying, that I'm smarter than Ryan Coogler. He has forgotten more about movies than I'll ever know. Here's the problem I had with the vampires. And this is going to sound like a crazy thing, but I'm going to say it. I never thought they were truly evil. Now I get it. Killing people is bad. But they're not really killing people. Like they're eating, like they're sucking their blood as they do, and then these people die and then become vampires, right? Now these vampires, Haley Steinfeld and Stack, Michael B. Jordan, one of the Michael B. Jordans, we are led to believe that these are not the people that we fell in love with in the beginning of the movie. They are now being taken over by these vampires. The issue is, I was never fully convinced that it wasn't the same people I knew. Now, they acted a little bit differently. Like, Haley Steinfeld was a little more horny, and Michael B. Jordan was a little more sassy. But I was never fully convinced that they weren't the same people that I knew. And I get it. It's an allegory for assimilation. I understand that, and I get it, and I love it. My problem is, I think I needed to see a little bit more of a differentiator between the human version of these people and the vampire version of these people. Because there's a moment where Jack O'Connell, who again doesn't ever seem like a bad guy, he just is a vampire. And it's like, all right, he wants to kill people because that's what vampires do. They need blood. It's like, it just is what it is. He didn't care if you were black, white, Asian, KKK. He was killing everybody, right? There wasn't like anything with that. When Jack O'Connell says, hey, I saved you guys from the KKK because these two people that I killed were from the KKK. They were a part of the group that sold you this building, and they were going to come kill you anyway. I saved you. So now, become part of our brotherhood or whatever. And that's where you lose me. I don't need to be a part of your brotherhood to be a vampire. And I'm not saying that I would choose to be a vampire. But in that moment in the movie, I really thought that we were going to have a movie where the human heroes that we were following were going to team up with the vampires to take down the KKK. I have chills. I gave myself the chills. And I thought that was the movie that we were headed toward, which would have made the scene of Michael B. Jordan at the end, the human version, taking out the KKK, feel like it should have been in there at all, because that scene has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, other than Ryan Coogler thinking it would be really fun and awesome to kill a bunch of KKK members. And by the way, completely agreed. That's fun. That's awesome. I totally understand the appeal of that. But similarly to the ending of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which felt like a little out of nowhere, it felt like Quentin Tarantino just wanted to tell a story about doing this thing in reality. I don't want to spoil that movie, but if you've seen it, you can make the leap here. Ryan Coogler was just like, I want to kill all these guys at the end. And there was another 5 to 7 minutes of us just watching Michael B. Jordan, Smoke, kill all these guys, and then he dies. And I think that was just an excuse or a way to get him to die without having the vampires kill him. So I didn't love that ending scene, although, again, it was fun to watch and see all these people get their comeuppance. I thought there would have been a more interesting way to weave them into the vampire story. Like, maybe they attack the same time the vampires are about to, and they kill the KKK members, and then they're trying to bite us too, and there's just chaos and pandemonium. The final battle left me a little underwhelmed because I was like, okay, all the people that we've met are gonna die, except maybe our main character, and then that's it. That's pretty much what happened. Now the mid-credits scene, hilarious because the movie flashes forward to 1992. You see old Sammy, and then like abruptly cuts to written and directed by Michael B. Jordan. And I was like, wow, that was kind of an interesting artistic way to get to the credits. And then the scene keeps playing out throughout the credits, and some people just got up and left. We're like, we get it. Sammy lived on, and he's doing his thing at a jazz club. And then the movie continued for another 5 minutes. The people that got up and left missed the end of the movie. Insane. Insane in the membrane. That scene was very good. You see Stack and Haley Steinfeld, now assimilating to the 1990s, I get it, coming to tell him, you know, we survived the whole time and we had a watchful eye on you, but my brother promised me, let you live, so I let you live. I hope you had a good life. Now here's my issue with this one scene that I loved. If I'm to believe that the vampire version of Michael B. Jordan is not the Michael B. Jordan that I've known and loved, why the hell would he honor a promise made by his brother that's not his brother anymore because he's now a vampire? Because the whole time people were saying, that's not your brother anymore. That's not your brother anymore. Well, if it's not, then why would Michael B. Jordan's vampire character still honor that promise? Because he's a good vampire? Okay, that's fine. He's a nice vampire. Here's the problem now. That whole final battle thing could have been avoided because we could have just asked nicely, hey, don't kill us. We could have some reason here. Now, I get it. It doesn't make for an entertaining movie. But when you have that element at the end of your film where you could just talk the vampire out of killing somebody, it kind of makes me think back to before where, like, so the Asian lady could have just maybe stayed with the vampire version of the husband who is basically that person. I don't know. That scene, while I love it, kind of took a little bit away from me. Now, if there is a little bit of the human Stack in the vampire version of Michael B. Jordan, then that's interesting. But there wasn't enough there for me to completely latch onto that concept. And I will say, there is a review of this movie in the movie. The old version of Sammy says, before the attacks happened that night, that was the greatest day of my life. And that's how I felt about this movie. Before the vampires attacked, I was on board, ready to call this Coogler's best. But the second they got involved, vampires heavily into this thing, it kind of lost me. But still, amazing time at the theater. I'm happy that it's making so much money. And the last thing I'll say, the scene that took my breath away, it's the scene everyone's talking about, is the scene where Sammy starts singing and you see all the generations of black musicians. And I think there's some Asian representation in there as well. You know, from way back in ancient history to present day hip hop and electric guitars. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of why that made sense in that scene because, you know, presumably by now you've seen the movie. As soon as I saw that guy with the electric guitar show up and it said the past, present, and the future, and it went, I was like, I felt like I was in heaven. That I want to go see the movie again for that scene. That scene, that shit was, that's where I started throwing around the G word. Genius. Ryan Coogler, more of that. So again, while I say the movie didn't work entirely for me, it works in those instances and it makes up for some of the deficiencies. It's not a perfect movie. It's not Citizen Kane. It's fun. It's a blast. So look, if you enjoyed this review, drop likes, drop comments. I appreciate everybody watching. Please be sure to subscribe. It's free after no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.